Let's go. Let's do it.
Rock and roll.
We're
All right.
live.
We're live. We're here.
Welcome back. Welcome back, Vince.
Hi, Sam. How's it going, bud?
We made it another week. What a freaking chaotic week.
Yeah.
Already.
All right. Yeah.
All right. How you been, man?
I'm good, man. Just living the life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you guys were you and Tyler had quite the adventure. So much so that Tyler can't even get on today.
He called out sick.
Yeah.
Our
Went
boy
a little
called
too
out
hard.
sick.
Went a
So
little too hard in the
disappointed.
paint.
Exactly what we were saying all weekend. So every time we took a drink and we were getting to that higher and higher level, I was like, dude, we're going hard in the paint, man. And I don't think I've been that drunk for that long. I mean, it was seriously like 48 hours straight
Wow.
of just drinking and we weren't like 10 out of 10 drunk at all times, but the solid buzz and just powering through, you start to get that dip and then you gotta get like 7 drinks to just get back up on the up path. Oh my God, dude.
You were living the Sterling Archer life for the entire time.
It was rough. It was rough. But you know what? We had a blast. We're going to get to it. We're going to talk about the San Diego Padres game that we got to attend. Of course, your boy wore his jersey. He had to wear the Oakland jersey. I had to do it. I did it on purpose.
Spark the conversation.
And I had a lot of great conversations with Dodger fans, with Padres fans, with just the casual, San Diegan. Got to talk to a lot of people. We'll get a little bit more into that later in our show. I want to welcome everybody who's out there watching. Thank you so much for taking time on this Monday afternoon to spend time with us and watch our show. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, hit the notification. We're doing these live shows every Monday at 5:30. Tim is going to be working on some new graphics where you're going to see all that advertising. You're going to see our backgrounds change. The more subscribers we get, we're going to get new backgrounds, new logos, new this, new that. We're going to build the show for the people.
That's right.
So welcome everybody, and please jump into that chat. We want to interact with you. When we started this podcast, that's what it was about, engaging with fellow fans. We're A's fans, we're Warriors fans, we're Sharks fans. Vince is a 49er fan. I'm still supporting the Raiders. But we want to interact with fans of all teams. This is what sports is about, is tackle a little bit of trash, but also having a good time and, sharing our common fanaticism for the teams that we cheer for. So thank you again for taking that time. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, like bell, all that stuff. All right, Vince. Here we go.
All right, let's dive in, I guess. The Warriors over the last week, they've been playing the Los Angeles Lakers in the second round. They're currently down 2-1. Game 4 is tonight. It tips off at 7:00. And so we're gonna try to get this thing wrapped up so we can watch the game immediately after.
Yeah, we're gonna try to keep it tight.
That's right.
So
keep it tight. Keep it.
Me, Sam. Shut the hell up.
I'll give you a sign or something. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're sticking to our guns, Vince. Like we both. Yeah. I think we're sticking with the Warriors.
Yeah, I had the Warriors in 6. Now Tyler's done because he had them in 5. So he's officially mathematically eliminated on that part. If the Warriors can win tonight, my Warriors in 6 is still alive. So that's great.
I had Warriors in 7.
Yeah.
I had Warriors in 7. So,
but it's Warriors in 7 becomes a lot easier to do if they do get that win tonight. So, speaking of tonight, Gary Payton II is expected to start. They tried the JaMychal Green experiment. It worked well in game 2. It did not work at all in game 3. That was, a string that Steve Kerr pulled. It worked once, it didn't work again, and we're trying something new. And so, who do you think GP2 is going to be guarding at this point? Is he going to be on D'Angelo Russell? Try to make sure that he doesn't become that third guy, or are they going to? What do you think?
Probably that makes the most sense. Especially too since D'Angelo Russell's a guy that kind of creates his own shot. He has speed. He could get a lot of foul calls. When he starts shooting the three ball, he's their best multi-tool offensive weapon. And I think the Warriors are going to try to use GP2 to take that away. And actually, when we were at San Diego Padres game, we got to meet Daniel. So shout out Daniel who's listening. Silver and black, yes. And Daniel did talk to us about this because we had the Warriors game on. As we're watching the Padres game, we had the Warriors game on, and they were getting smoked. And one of the concerns that Daniel has, and a lot of Laker fan has this concern, is consistent games by Anthony Davis.
I was literally going to bring that up.
Him being consistent, that's definitely a concern. But it's a playoff game. It's in LA, and it's still like, I'm not a LeBron fan, but I'm not an idiot. It's still LeBron James who doesn't want to lose any series to Steph Curry. I think the Warriors get this game, maybe because of the matchup changes, maybe because of inconsistent gameplay, but the NBA wants this thing to go 7.
Yeah,
and it's going 7.
They called in Scott Foster. They went to the bullpen. Exactly. He's the extender, man. He just like anytime the road team seems to get a little bit more of a benefit of the doubt when he's refereeing a game, that kind of helps extend a series, man. And so this is also we need to Anthony Davis. I literally saw a graphic where like he basically every other game he's had either a good game or a bad game. It has not been middle ground. So he had a really good game in game 1, played like crap in game 2. He bounced back again and was amazing on Saturday night. Here's hoping he continues the trend. The Warriors can tie this up. That would make me very happy. But yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun to watch, and I'm hoping that this GP2 string that Steve Kerr is pulling really works out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a question for like Laker fans because, like, to me, it's really not that crazy. I know the foul calls have been very one-sided, and Warrior players and coaches are coming out saying like, you can't point at that. We didn't play a good game.
Yeah, there's a lot of turnovers too. It's just a lot of sloppy.
Yeah, it's pretty sloppy. 3. I think there were some calls that were a little questionable on both sides, meaning should there have been a few more calls for the Warriors? Should there have been a few less calls of the Lakers? Maybe. But at the same time, I look back at the season, I believe the Warriors are last or second to last in getting foul calls. So this is kind of how they played all year. And then they're also terrible on turnovers. Like this is what we've been screaming about even through the championship seasons, is they always turn the ball over.
Yeah. Yeah, they become really reliant on their not Steph, Clay, and Dre guys to really secure the ball. Because if that happens, like all those guys, if they start turning the ball over too, that's when you get what happened in game 3, just a 30-point blowout. And it was ugly. It was bad to watch. I watched every last second of it. But it was too rough, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Daniel actually in the chat, he's like, it's one-sided enough though that I'm like, oh, NBA officiating, have some coffee, please.
Maybe put some whiskey in that coffee, man.
Right?
Put some whiskey up in there. Yeah, and the Lakers get a lot of foul calls in the regular season. That's kind of, their MO.
They get to the paint.
They don't shoot very well.
Yeah, the one thing about the Warriors not getting to the line the last couple of games, AD has he's averaging 4 blocks a game. They're going into the paint. They're just not getting the calls when they do go into the paint. In game 1 and 3 especially. I will point out game 1, the Warriors didn't really turn the ball over so much. They still lose that game, but they only lose by about 5 points. Jordan Poole was shooting with 15 seconds or whatever it was for the tie. So the Warriors were right in that, even with the foul disparity. Game 2 was obviously a blowout on the Warriors, and game 3 was a blowout against the Warriors. and there was the turnover monster, especially on the road. The Warriors
Yeah.
just like we've talked about it all season. They've been so inconsistent on the road. They started to kind of figure it out a little bit at the end there, but they were playing against dumpster fire teams. And then they were able to figure it out in games 5 and 7 in Sacramento, how to get those wins there. So I'm hoping that that was just them, having a little brain fart in game 3 and they go back to what they had been doing the last few weeks. We'll see though, man.
And, with the Warriors, not to rag on our own team, but, I got to point out the deficiencies is the bench hasn't been very good. And Jordan Poole hasn't been able to consistently score. And there's been a lot of talk of his kind of like his energy, how he is on court. I've noticed, I think we've all noticed it, right? I don't want to put thoughts in a guy's head or, put words in his mouth. But it seems like the body language is kind of similar to like Wiseman, right? That, oh, gee, shucks. Oh, none of the calls are going my way,
Yeah.
I think that says a lot, that the game is not going his way, but, he's still making the same mistakes of like going too fast and dribbling off his foot or making some pass that shouldn't really be made. Or taking deep threes like super early in the shot clock is what drives me insane. Like, why not try to develop a play, pass the ball, and then get it back? Then take a clear shot. Like, why is he shooting it so deep? Like with 20 plus seconds to go on the shot clock. Those are the things that drive me crazy.
Yeah, that was
pardon me while I hydrate. Sponsored
that game
by Bender and Futurama. They are not sponsoring the show.
No,
but they should.
I mean, game 1, Jordan Poole took that three that he took at the end of the game. He had enough time and nobody near him. He could have dribbled up a couple of feet. He didn't have to settle for that 30-footer. He could have taken it from 25 out and made that an easier shot for him. And who knows? Maybe it goes in, maybe it doesn't. But it's a much better shot if you're a little bit closer. I mean, that's just basic science. The shot's easier as you get closer to the rim. So
absolutely. I want to shout out Tien. He's in the chat. What's up, bro?
We also got Joe in there. Hey, Joe, what's up, buddy?
First Joe. What's up, Joe? Thank you guys for joining. Yeah, we want to hear more from you guys listening and watching on YouTube about the Warriors. What do you guys think? What's gonna, who's gonna be the X factor? What's gonna happen? Hey, Joe, Dr. Joe, GP2. Yeah, we did talk about GP2 a little bit earlier, but I think, just to reiterate, GP2 is going to be used as a defensive guy to take out help me out, Vince. Oh my god,
probably D'Angelo, but then also like help put throw a couple of extra bodies at LeBron or AD whenever possible.
For
be
sure.
that second guy.
If he can hit that corner three, last year GP2 was really able to hit that corner three consistently, and that hasn't been there.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is also coming back from the injury. Sometimes it takes a while to get that touch back. We saw it with Clay last year. Coming back from the multiple leg injuries, it took him a little while to find himself. This year, he's starting to find that defense again. So we'll see. Just as the series goes on, and if the Warriors can advance going forward into the next round, who knows? Maybe some more of that comes back, and maybe he starts making shots again. That'd be nice.
I still believe that if the Warriors get past the Lakers, they're winning the whole thing. I just think for whatever reason, the Lakers is like, in my opinion, broadcasting live from my garage, in my opinion, it's the most difficult matchup for the Warriors just based on size. Just based on how the defenses run in LA, the size, the rim protection that they get, and just being able to defend. And
Joker's going to be a problem with Denver, though. I would say if Denver moves on, but then who knows
about them though, because they've never proven anything.
Yeah, well, it's the same with Phoenix too.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be a fun matchup. I think the NBA would love that if we get Kevin Durant playing the Warriors in the Western Finals. The NBA would certainly not be mad if that ends up being the matchup. If
Right.
Phoenix is able, like that series is actually tied 2-2. So same with Boston and Philly. That series is
Do you
tied
think
2-2.
don't you think the NBA would want Phoenix Warriors or Phoenix Lakers?
You know what? I think they would be fine with either California team going
Yeah.
forward because it's big money either way. It's the other half of that bracket. I mean,
They would want the Suns.
I would think so, just because of Chris Paul, with the extra money, and you know, even though Chris Paul hasn't been playing nearly as well.
TN's talking about Denver being the mile high and getting gassed out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with you. I think in this point we're talking about like the NBA would want Phoenix because of Kevin Durant and Booker, and then any of the California teams
right,
because of the star power that they bring.
right.
No, I mean Denver's a really good team. They were the number 1 seed in the West. I'm just saying it's been how many years that we've been talking about Denver and they just never quite get over the hump. So until they get over the hump, I can't really buy into them. They're kind of, it's like the Clippers, right? We've been hearing about the Clippers for how many years,
Right.
and they just don't really do it. Memphis, right?
Yeah. It's actually the same in reverse with the Warriors. Until the Warriors are actually eliminated, I'm going to work on the assumption that they're going to get the job done. And that's me being a spoiled Warriors fan. But I was a very not spoiled Warriors fan for 30 years of my life before that. So
I know, dude.
I don't care. I'm happy to be spoiled.
And we remember that.
Oh,
we
yeah.
remember that. A lot of Warriors fans, go back. You got YouTube. Go back and watch some of the early 90s and late 80s games. I remember watching KICU Channel 36.
Cable 6. Yep.
Cable 6. They had Warriors games, they had A's games. I watched so many of those games, those early 90s and mid 90s games on regular television. And Warriors fans need to get in tune about how bad this team was in the 90s and 2000s. I remember we were excited to get over 20 wins.
Yeah. Pop the champagne when you hit 30, baby.
Yeah, we believe.
We believe that year. And then the worst part about the We Believe season was the following year. They
were better.
They won 48 games, but they were the 9 seed and couldn't even get in the playoffs. Meanwhile, the East had like 3 teams under 500 that year. I was living in San Diego and I was livid, man.
In today's format, they would have been a play-in tournament game.
It would have, yeah.
They would have been part of that.
Yep.
And that's potentially like that could have been one of the most dangerous tournament teams, coming out.
Yeah, so I mean we should probably move on instead of reminiscing because we do got a game to watch here tonight. I do want to mention also the New York Knicks and Miami. Miami's up 2-1. They're playing right now. We'll see how far that goes. What happens with that game.
Joe's calling me old, that bastard.
Don't forget, drink your water. You old folks have to really stay hydrated. Playing hydrated. Zelda too. Yeah. One more NBA note. Bronny has decided to go to USC. Good for him. I actually saw something earlier today. He's going to be the first member of the James family, as far as LeBron knows, to ever go to college.
Wow.
Because LeBron went straight to the NBA from high school. So, that good on him. Good, at least get the education started for a year before you turn pro, and then come back later and finish the degree like a lot of other guys did, like Steph did.
Yeah, LeBron has so much money, he just like bought a school. He just bought a university.
Yeah.
So that's on the horizon.
That's
that's cool, man. Anybody who can, I didn't complete college, but I got the honor to go, and it was great. Everybody should go to college, at least for a couple semesters, even if you drop out.
Really enjoy, learn to enjoy the experience. I may not be using my degree now, but I'm having fun.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so Yeah, so I think that should cover it for basketball for now. I mean, I think
That's
we should probably move
basketball.
on. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
let's
switch.
do.
I'm not gonna switch the hats this time because we got the game today. I'm not trying to ruin any mojo that I may be trying to build here. But
Yeah,
next week, if the Warriors aren't playing, I will do the hat switching.
we got to do. Yeah, we got to jump into baseball
Yeah.
now.
First off the bat, Vida Blue died on
Yeah,
Saturday night, 73 years old. Rest in peace, King. He was All-Star 6 times, 3 with the A's, 3 with the Giants. 1971 was when he was the Cy Young and the MVP award winner. He was just absolutely untouchable in the 70s, and he was the key cog in those 72, 73, 74 World Series championship teams.
yeah,
And he was just super nice. And every person that I've seen have a comment on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, they're just like, man, he was so nice. He was always talking with the fans and just really a good dude. And he's somebody that the A's community for sure is gonna miss. So yeah, rest in peace,
absolutely.
King.
That was one of my mom's favorite players. I've said this quite a few times on the podcast already, but I'm an A's fan because of my mom and her connection to the A's. She got to see some of those early World Series teams in person. Her dad, my grandfather, he passed away before I was, even thought of. My mom was a kid, 10, 11 years old um, when he passed away. But he got to take his kids to A's games, and she remembers Vida Blue. She played baseball because she loved watching the A's, and so there's a special connection there. A little bit before my time, not that old. But yeah, man, it's definitely a sad day for A's fans and baseball fans in general.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna
Oh, go ahead.
go right into it, Vince.
Let's do it.
Glenn Kuiper situation. He's no longer with the A's broadcast team until further notice.
Yeah, he's suspended indefinitely.
Yeah. If you don't know what's going on, he very he he made a very bad mistake, misspoke, however you want to call it, when trying to discuss um the museum, the Negro League Museum.
Mm-hmm.
He had a hard R in there. And
Yeah.
I don't know the guy. I met him. He seemed like a really nice guy. But I'm sure he's ashamed. He's apologized. I don't know, man. It's hard to defend, right? Like, it's one of those
Yeah.
things. It's really hard to defend. But at the same time, I constantly think about, well, if we don't have a path of forgiveness, then how do we move on? And how do we move on as a society where we can talk about these things? And how do we make mistakes and not crush each other as human beings,
Yeah. That being said, he's a 20-year professional, and this is really, really bad. Joe actually said a good, very bad mistake. We're trying to be euphemistic a little bit. But my dude, did you not practice your red leather, yellow leather before the broadcast? I mean, good God, get those tongue twisters out, and maybe you don't have this problem. I don't know, man. This is just a really bad look for a really bad team, who actually finally won a series for the first time this year. Like, so what very little good news is happening on the field gets overshadowed by this whole entire clusterfuck of a situation.
Yeah.
And if he's back, if he's not back, it honestly, to me, it doesn't really matter either way at this point. Glenn Kuiper was fine as a broadcaster. I wouldn't say he was like top notch or anything, but this does provide an opportunity for what's his name, Donnie, who was the Sacramento guy, and now the A's hired him on the radio side to help spell Ken Korak. Now that guy's going to be getting a lot more run.
I did see him on the pregame and postgame when they're doing the interviews and stuff after games. I did get a chance to see some of his stuff, and it sounded good.
Yeah, so I mean, this obviously gives, like I said, a situation for somebody else to really a guy who's 56 years old was calling minor league games for 30 years. It gives him an opportunity to, get his shot at a permanent job. He was supposed to be calling 60 games for the A's this year. He's going to be calling a lot more now, probably.
Right.
I don't know what the plans are for Glenn Kuiper going forward. We'll see.
Yeah,
I hope that this situation doesn't ever happen again, because it's bad and I don't like seeing it, and it just it sucks for everybody. Like even the people who can defend, we do want to practice forgiveness, and you're absolutely right about that. That being said, this can't go unpunished, and that's what this
Joe,
suspension is for.
Family first, Joe. Forgiveness should always be practiced. So,
Absolutely.
Absolutely well said, Joe.
Yeah.
Moving on, we gotta, we don't want to dwell on it too much. It's a very nasty, ugly mistake that we all have to deal with, but hopefully, everybody kind of looks in the mirror and recognizes that, these words matter, and they're bad words, they're ugly words, and we got to be careful. We got to be better. So with that, the A's did win a series. They're going to start playing the New York Yankees.
Yeah, that game's already the first game of the series is already in progress.
And there's already a homie there wearing a sell the team t-shirt. So
nice.
Shout out that A's fan. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Real quick, we're going to get to the A's sell the team stuff and the Las Vegas stuff in a second here. But we're just going to get our business taken care of real quick. SF Giants. They won the series against Houston. They lost 7-3, and then they come back and win 2-0 and 4-2. And then they took another series against Milwaukee, winning 6-4, 4-1, and losing 7-3. Next up for the SF Giants is the Washington Nationals, and then they're over in Arizona. I have to say, Vince, I'm a little surprised with the Giants. I thought they were going to be a lot stinkier than this, but they're putting up a fight.
Yeah, I mean, they were down 5 games or whatever. They started to crawl back a little bit. They're 3 games under 500. I had them as basically a 500 on the dot team, so they're climbing back to where I thought they would be. We win a couple of series against Houston's a pretty good team. Obviously, they're supposed to win the AL West. Milwaukee is a lot of dark horse people picking them as a dark horse to win the NL Central.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good team too. St. Louis has fallen on hard times.
Yeah,
so, that's kind of opened up a world of possibilities for teams like Milwaukee to really step in and take.
I don't know what's going on in St. Louis. It just seems like they can't hit. They can't hit for power. It's just a team not executing. I'm not absolutely dialed in. But that was the team that I picked to win their division, and they absolutely stink right now. So, looks like I'm going to be eating crow on that one. So,
yeah, they better figure it out fast. They were talking about, for a minute there, Wilson Contreras, the catcher, playing outfield, and they've kind of since backed off on that. Now he's just going to DH because I guess the man can't wear a glove to save his life now at this point.
Yeah,
I guess you get used to Yadi Molina for 20 years. Excellent defensive catcher. Probably a Hall of Famer. Now you backslide into a guy who is there because he can hit, not because he's necessarily good handling a pitching staff. And
absolutely,
we see what happens, man. This is bad. But let's switch from something bad to something really good.
Really,
former
good.
A's closer and Chicago White Sox reliever all-star Liam Hendriks. He is in remission. He had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. A couple weeks ago, he had his last treatment. He rang his little victory bell. And he's now working on coming back to the major leagues. He pitched 1 perfect inning on a rehab assignment at AAA. He got a standing O from the fans, the umps, and the players on both teams. And that's a guy that kind of works on like he uses anger to hype himself up. But when he actually said when everybody's being so nice, it's a little hard to get angry. But he still only threw 9 pitches. Got topped out at 93.2 mile an hour on the fastball, which is a little bit under what he was pitching before. He was 96, 97, 98 beforehand. So he still got He's still got a little bit to work up to that, but um, yeah. So this is really great news. It's actually the same cancer that that my sister had. Um, and our friend Cherise had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So this is something that is this specific cancer has affected both you and me and a lot of people in our friend groups. So this
And my
is
mom,
yeah,
my
and your
mom had the
mom,
same.
yeah.
So,
So this
um,
is seeing somebody get a W against this cancer is a really good feeling and gives me a
absolutely,
lot of
uh,
little heartstring tugs for sure, man.
absolutely,
I love
absolutely,
this for Liam. So
absolutely love it for Liam. All right, we got to get into the A's in Vegas drama. Um, there's going to be, get my notes in order here, guys. Fisher out Friday, May 12th, 5 p.m. They're going to have everybody meet. Let me see here at gates LL and MM in front of the BART ramp.
so when you
Uh,
cross the Bart Bridge, that's where those gates are.
it's that little plaza as you cross the bridge, and then you have the two ramps where if you're standing there, they're gonna what is it, decline down into the parking lots. They're meeting in that little square there, that little plaza. So if you can make it, bring your signs, sell the team. Fisher out, Oakland forever. I think you can see the hashtags in my name. Um, Follow those hashtags on Twitter, whether you're an A's fan or not. Follow those hashtags. If you're a person somehow listening to this, watching this, interact, ask questions. Why, what's going on? Why are the A's leaving Oakland? Why are they going to Las Vegas? How did we get here? Ask those questions. And that's what I've been trying to do, is offer myself as a fan who's experiencing the A's possibly leaving. You know, I try to find the silver linings in certain things, and the silver lining that I found in this situation, Vince, is we've been trying to figure out our podcast for a little while now. We've done different versions of a podcast, you and I.
Mm-hmm.
This one, for whatever reason, we've gotten the right mix of people, but it was kind of like a radio show. We just kind of talked, and now when the A's announced that they bought land in Las Vegas, we're going live tonight. We're doing it live, and we found the silver lining. It became something that, for me, people in my life started asking me more and more questions about the A's and why this is happening. And then it just exploded into Twitter. And then there's, our, eats for free, drinks for free, Damon Amanda Lara, Casey Pratt, Brody Brazil. Those are the guys that kind of kept it going mainstream. Damon Amanda Lara got it mainstream, and he's been a champion for us, and he's not even a West Coast guy,
Yeah, he's living in New York, man. Yeah.
But he's speaking the truth, because I think he recognizes that this shouldn't happen to any fan base. I was in for our co-host bachelor party. We went to San Diego, and he wanted to see a Padres game. Some of you may know the Padres have become his adopted team in his boycott of John Fisher owning the Oakland A's. So he's become his second team has become the Padres. So we took him to the Padres game, and it just so happened to be Padres and Dodgers. And I was really like, what am I going to wear? What am I going to do? And I purposely wore my Oakland A's jersey, my Kelly Green, right behind me. I wore that jersey there to be a conversational piece. And a lot of people came up to me, and we got to discuss what's going on. And I'm trying to educate people, because, with Dodgers, right? Let's just start with the Dodgers and the Padres. The Dodgers, there are Dodger fans who know the truth, and they know the facts, and they know the history of their team. And we talked about this before. Frank McCourt. If you're a Dodger fan, and you don't know who Frank McCourt is, go speak to your Dodger friends. Go speak to your Dodger family. Do some research on what was going on with Frank McCourt. Completely mismanagement, running the Dodgers into the ground. Remember all those years they stunk and they just couldn't do anything right?
Right.
A lost decade of Dodger baseball. That was Frank McCourt. He couldn't get his ducks in a row. He ran the team into the ground, and baseball forced him out. New ownership group comes in, and they recognized the Dodgers, the Dodger fan base, and it took some time, but they built up the minor leagues. They built up their team. They signed free agents, as they could, and they built this thing up and, turned it into a champion, turned it into a perennial contender.
Yeah.
And it takes time, but ownership, it starts with ownership. Look at the St. Louis Cardinals are not very good right now, but how is it that they are a franchise that is constantly in competitions? Because ownership and the front office is always in 100% of the time.
Daniel Esparza, one of the biggest pieces of as an owner. Absolutely.
And
Frank
you know
McCourt
what? That's absolutely
garbage.
true. Bud Selig was the owner of the Who's. The owner of the Who, Vince.
That was the Milwaukee Brewers.
And they sucked.
They were dog shit.
They sucked. Bud Selig was the John Fisher of the 90s. Or, excuse me, the 80s. He was a cheap owner. Bud Selig was a non-competitive owner. So he was buddied up with Lou Wolf. Joe Lacob made an offer to buy the A's back then. He had a more competitive bid, but it went to the homie.
Yeah.
It went to the homie. Bud Selig swung that deal to the homie Lou Wolf. But Bud Selig is exactly like John Fisher and Lou Wolf. Cheap owners, run it like a business, make government pay for stuff, make the fan pay for stuff. And this is a problem throughout sports. It's not just Oakland. The San Diego fan. I talked to many San Diego Padre fans who were very empathetic to what we're going through, and we started to gain support from them, from those fans, because of the San Diego Chargers. They just went through this with the Chargers. Now the Chargers couldn't even sell out a minor league freaking soccer stadium or whatever it was they were playing in.
Yeah, in Carson, it was like a 20,000 seat soccer stadium, and
nobody went. And what is it that they're getting a stadium in Inglewood?
Well, they share it with the Rams.
The Rams, yeah. So
the Rams stadium. They're playing there. They
don't even sell that out.
Yeah,
they don't even sell that out. I mean, nobody's interested in the Rams or the Chargers in LA. They're like Raider fans. I think Daniel told me Cowboy fans. There's like more Cowboy fans in LA than so it just makes no sense.
Yeah, and that stadium was where the Galaxy played. Thanks,
right.
Daniel. Yeah.
The Seattle fan. The NBA lost the Supersonics and we get the OKC Thunder. That's crazy. It's crazy to imagine the NBA in its current form without the Supersonics. It's insane.
Yeah, and that's why they need to expand and bring Seattle back. I think as soon as they expand, Seattle's a foregone conclusion. That's one of the cities.
Absolutely.
And the stadium's ready. The arena's ready.
Absolutely. Daniel says LA, it's Cowboys, Raiders, 49ers.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of Niners fans down there too. LA's a big city. There's like 4 million people in LA alone. So a lot of fans, a lot of transplants from the Bay Area, from other states. And if you're coming from the Midwest, there's a lot of Cowboys fans that come west to LA, and there you go.
My takeaway from my trip and trying to wear the jersey and engage with people, I think it was mostly positive. I think people are genuinely interested and curious to what's going on and how it's going to play out. And as they find out, as we were discussing these things, I would say a majority of people would kind of lean towards, I would say, Oakland side, right? To say like, wow, like none of this sounds right. We said this last week, but John Fisher has multiple loans out, and the A's and Earthquakes are used as collateral.
Yep.
Same thing that Frank McCourt was doing, and baseball said, no, don't do that. He was using like the Dodgers as collateral for his like parking structures or some.
Can you imagine Bank of America foreclosing on John Fisher? And so like now it's like some CEO of Bank of America owns the A's then at that point. Like that'd be so fucked up. Even like the whole thing it's nothing. It's what we deserve though at this point almost, it's like Jesus Christ, man.
I'll start to wrap up with this. Just there are many communities, sport communities that are out there that know what it's like to lose a sports franchise. St. Louis, they lost the Rams to LA and they wanted to build the stadium. They wanted to build the stadium. And we know the teams that have stadium deals where the city gave them all that and a bag of chips and they still don't compete. They still don't try. Pittsburgh had a couple of moments, a couple of guys they signed,
like Andrew McCutchen
this year.
Yeah.
But
and then they signed somebody. Yeah.
Is it going to last? Only time will tell. And I think the moment the moment that thing starts to leak oil, they're going to crush that team. They're going to disassemble it immediately. So we know the franchises that got the stadium, got the government funding, and they still don't compete. So you can't say that the A's are going to go to Las Vegas, get the stadium, and just be all in all the time. It's not going to happen. The other thing is, I don't really think the Las Vegas, Nevada fans want the A's.
Brody Brazil has talked to a couple of, Las Vegas people, and it
the
sounds
mayor's
like
coming out saying no public money.
It sounds like it's 2-1. The city, the residents of Las Vegas would prefer an expansion team. So I don't know how hyped they're going to, they'll be, it sounds like they do want baseball, but it's just, getting it this way. They're not that comfortable with, and with this team is the other part. They're not that comfortable with it.
Right.
And this is stuff that I've called out a long time ago, that that baseball shouldn't want John Fisher to be the guy in LA. He should want an owner that actually spends money, got to put on a show. And this is stuff that we've been raging about for fucking decade now at this point.
I get the Las Vegas fan wants baseball very badly. I want baseball very badly in Vegas. I would love it, but I would love to go there as an A's fan and have Vegas fans come to Oakland, because what did we say at the top of the show? It's about trash talk. It's about sport. It's about having a good time. I don't take any of this personally. To the fans who take this sports stuff, like where you just want to fight, or you're going to beat somebody up because they said your team sucks or something, like that's crazy to me.
Right. Yeah.
That's just like crazy to me. Like none of that matters. I love sports. I love meeting other fans. That's why I traveled with the A's, to Chicago and New York and Seattle and LA and, all the cities that I got to see him in, is to meet the opposition, not to create enemies, to create a drinking buddy, to create a buddy to trash talk with, that's what it's about. So, in conclusion, if you're listening to this, you're watching this, ask questions, interact with us. I would love more than nothing to just engage with you and talk about it. I'm not upset if you want the A's to go to Vegas. I'm just saying, there's another side of the coin to it. Vegas deserves a baseball team. It's proven to be a great baseball, a sports town. But you shouldn't fill that void in your heart with somebody else's, peace, that fills their heart. Now you're just taking it away from someone else. And I think that's just kind of like the worst kind of joy that you can have. And, some people did ask me, well, how is it that you're still supporting the Raiders? They moved, the Warriors moved. I think there's a lot to unpack, but in short, it was going to be too complex. The A's at the time, in the past tense, right? The A's signed a 10-year lease to the to the current site, which means the Raiders had no ability to build another stadium or buy the site and build it out. And there's no other location in Oakland or Alameda County to put a football stadium. Like, there's just no other location. It was the current site or nothing. And that was just based on blueprint availability. And the Raiders had to move. Mark Davis don't have money. So he had to move. And there was it Sandy
Alderson
Sandy Alderson backed out of the deal, and everybody
no,
said,
not Sandy Alderson. God, what's his name?
The Las Vegas guy backed out.
Yeah.
And
Sheldon Adelson.
Sheldon
Adelson. That's his name. Sandy Alderson was a former exec with the A's.
For the A's, yeah. And then the Mets. It was just a lot more complex deal, and Mark Davis still got the deal to the touchdown. He got the stadium. And in Mark Davis's defense, he went on to buy the Las Vegas Aces, and then he wins the championship. He's doing nothing but invest in that team. I know there's some problems going on over there, but he's done nothing but invest in that team, and he's done nothing but invest in the Raiders. I was
just gonna say, as for the Warriors moving to San Francisco, that was
another
basically a done
deal.
Yeah, it was another complex deal, but that was basically a done deal as soon as Lacob bought the team. Like, they had every intention of moving the team across the bay back to San Francisco, where they first started. When they came out west,
ripped that Band-Aid off immediately.
Yep.
And I think the reason why the East Bay fan still supports the Warriors is that, they were in San Francisco first, so they stayed in the Bay, right? They weren't the Oakland Warriors or, the San Jose Warriors or the whatever Warriors. They stayed the Golden State Warriors, so I think that was to their benefit. But the other thing, too, is when they did rip that Band-Aid off, Lacob and the Warriors came out and they were very clear that, to build an arena in Oakland is going to be way too messy because of the A's, because of the Raiders. It's not going to get figured out. We got to go. We have opportunity to get this going over here. And then they ended up building on the second site. They couldn't build on the first site. Remember, it was going to be right on that dock or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't do that. So if you have questions about why I support the Raiders and the Warriors, even though they moved, it's because the Coliseum site, the existing site, that's really the only site that these two teams could have stayed. The A's kind of fucked that up for everybody with this lease. And then they bought half. And I don't really know the details on what's going to happen if the A's do leave. Does that mean the A's have to sell back their half or sell it to someone else? I don't know. That's something that we got to do some research on. But ask questions, engage. We want to keep going with that. So,
okay.
Vince, I'll turn this over to you.
All right, this is rapid fire time. It's hockey time. First off, Erik Karlsson is a Norris Trophy finalist. That's the award given to the best defenseman, the best all-around defenseman in the league, and it's well earned. And he had an amazing year, and his trade value has skyrocketed. So maybe somebody's willing to pick up that massive contract that the Sharks signed him to a while back. We'll see what happens in the off season, but Erik Karlsson, absolutely a worthy finalist for this trophy. Also today, literally just before we went live, the Shark, there was the NHL draft lottery, and the Sharks ended up picking fourth. That's kind of where they started going into the process. The Chicago Blackhawks jumped from the third spot to number one, and so that pushed back Anaheim and Columbus. Sharks stayed at fourth. That was the only move in the draft lottery, was Chicago jumping up. Everybody else slotted into the spots that they were predicted to be in.
Yeah.
So That means that Chicago gets the first crack at the draft, and they're gonna probably in all likelihood draft Connor Bedard, who is by all accounts pro ready, one of the highest touted prospects since Sidney Crosby and then Connor McDavid a few years back. So like this guy is, there is no such thing as can't miss because things happen, but this is as close to can't miss as you can get with a prospect. So Chicago gets to watch a couple of their like former young phenoms turned old men walk away in Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, and they get to replace him right away with Connor Bedard. God damn it.
Well, there's going to be some good talent for the Sharks, so definitely go find something.
Yeah. I mean, you're still a top 4 pick. That's still probably a maybe NHL ready, maybe not, but close to it caliber player at the number 4. So we'll see who ends up falling to them. The Sharks really need to address some goaltending. That's what they really need most. I don't know if there's any goalies up that high, at least in terms of valuation, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
So as far as your Stanley Cup date, as I started calling it last week, let's see. We have Seattle is playing Dallas. Seattle's second season in the league. They're up 2-1 against Dallas right now. And this is all as of this morning when I put the information in. Vegas Golden Knights versus Edmonton. That series is tied 1 apiece.
Vegas
Florida
is up 2-1 at the time of this recording.
Yeah. Florida versus Toronto. The fucking Maple Leafs, they're doing it again, man. They are shit in the bed. They finally get past that first round curse or whatever, and now they can't even win a game in the second round. They're down 3-0 in that series. Carolina versus New Jersey, couple of former Sharks playing each other in Timo Meier versus Brent Burns. Carolina and Brent Burns are up 2-1 in that series. So we'll see how the rest of this shakes up next week when we get back to our next Stanley Cup date.
Ooh, nice.
Okay.
We need a soundboard, man.
I know, right? Just do my own. So let's just talk real quick. There was some breaking news about Leo Messi earlier this week. He's going to be leaving the soccer team in Paris after the end of the season. We honestly don't know where he's going next. Look at Sam's lighting up a stogie like a badass. Yeah, don't smoke, kids.
Got this one from San Diego.
Oh, nice.
Recommended. It's an acid. So
you're dropping acid live? That's a crime.
Oh man. Good thing it's late. Good thing it's late in the show, and words can't hurt our podcast.
Right.
This is true.
No. Yeah, it's PSG is the name of the club. I was trying to simplify it for those who don't really know. But yeah, it's PSG. He's going to be leaving at the end of the season. I don't know where he's going next. Maybe he goes back to Barcelona. Maybe somebody in the Middle East. He actually got in trouble for spending one of his quote days off in the Middle East, but he wasn't supposed to go and didn't get permission, but he thought he had permission. There was a whole mix up there. So maybe he's going to be playing with Ronaldo in the Middle East next year. I don't know. There's a lot of money out there. We'll see what happens there. As for our little Earthquakes, they played Los Angeles Football Club, LAFC, at Levi's Stadium. They get a massive win, 2-1. Daniel actually says the Saudi Arabia or the Miami deal might go through. We'll see where that ends up landing for Leo Messi.
Wow.
So yeah, that'd be crazy either way. But the Earthquakes get the win at Levi's Stadium, the 49ers big building. 2-1. Christian Espinoza had a brace. He converted his second goal in the 83rd minute as a penalty for the winner. They're currently 5 wins, 3 losses, 3 draws. That's good for 18 points. They're tied for third with LAFC now, but because of goal differential, LAFC actually has a +9 goal differential. San Jose Earthquakes only have a +1, so that's why LAFC holds third place. The Quakes are in fourth. Their next game is at LA Galaxy on Saturday. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Man, I got the Miami New York Knicks game.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Miami's
give us update.
up 91-81
Okay.
in the fourth, about 11 minutes to go.
Okay. So 10-point game. Ooh.
Miami they're getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, right.
Miami looks really
Jimmy
good
Butler's
right
made for this time of the year, man. I swear to God, that dude.
Absolutely. So
yeah.
Sorry, I derailed the show once.
No worries. One last note on the NFL. The schedule release is going to happen Thursday, May 11th. So I think they said 5 p.m. might be 4 p.m. I'll have to double check that. I forgot to put it in here because I was distracted. Okay, so we'll find out where everybody's playing at that point. We do know that the Chiefs are going to be opening up the season on Thursday Night Football, hosting that, so they can have their little trophy party and everything. We don't know who their opponent is going to be yet. I would imagine it's going to be a good quality team. Maybe it's the Dolphins. That's a team it could be. It could be they might go in division. I don't know, man. Yeah.
I do want to shoehorn some Raiders stuff here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some friends of mine asked me, "Oh, how come you talk about the draft and all the players that they got and this and that?" And to be honest, I didn't, because I've just been so distracted by this A's stuff, with the Vegas stuff. But I did go back and do some research and look over the draft and looked over each player. And I think it's a good draft. I think I said it was like a foundational draft. I'm really excited about the quarterback they got and, see what he can do. I think he's probably going to be a guy that maybe in year 2 or 3, maybe he shows some promise and maybe he competes for a starting spot, or maybe he's competing where, you can trade him like you did Jimmy G and Matt Castle and, not a Patriots player, but, remember the Falcons had, was it Matt Schaub? And then they traded him to Houston, and he just kind of flashed as a backup. So
yeah,
I think we're kind of hoping that he develops into a good quarterback, but I think they had a solid draft, and I stick to that. It's a foundational draft to get guys that fit this McDaniel system. Still not excited with Josh McDaniels, this whole Patriot in the desert thing, just because it hasn't really worked out in other cities. I think the Patriot way is Bill Belichick. Like, there's only one Bill.
Yeah.
There's only one hoodie, man. And I think Daniel said this at the game as well, is that, there's some, I forget what announcer said it, but where he got it from, but it was, some guys are great coaches and some guys are great coordinators. And I think Josh McDaniel is a great coordinator. And I kind of think I agree with that sentiment, is that McDaniels is probably better as just an offensive coordinator, but the jury's still out. He's going to be a Raider for the foreseeable future. And I hope for the best. And as maybe that's a lame excuse, but that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it, is why I couldn't do this whole breakdown of the Raiders draft. Is my heart's in another spot right now. And,
Dan Patrick, he says. It was Dan Patrick.
Dan Patrick.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Yep.
On that, unless the listeners and the viewers want
to just one more thing. Tim actually did ask, the A's going to Vegas is not a done deal yet at this point. Although the way that Brody Brazil described it, I think is pretty apt. He compared it to a basketball game. Oakland had the ball, and they basically turned the ball over, and it's a tied game and it's late in the fourth. They turned the ball over to Las Vegas, and now Las Vegas has the possession. Shot clock is off, and they're basically, if they make the bucket, game over, they win. And making the bucket in this instance would be getting that $500 million that they're looking for from Las Vegas. So if
I
they
think
get
there's a
that
little bit of
money,
a
it's a done
timeline.
deal.
There's a little bit of a timeline. I think it's like
Yeah.
the end of the month,
Mm-hmm.
roughly.
It's about 30-ish, less than 30 days now at this point. So we're looking at 4 weeks that they have while the legislative session is open to get it done. That being said, the governor could call a special legislative session to get it done after the fact. So even if Las Vegas misses this shot, by the end of these next 4 weeks, they still, it's going to overtime then in that instance. And Las Vegas certainly is the favorite at this point. I would honestly put it at 85-15. Vegas gets this done at this point. It's going to take an awful lot for it to fall through at this point. But we said that about Oakland. Like Oakland was 90% of the way there, and the A's just decided to go full heel turn.
Yeah.
So we'll
and
see,
that's
man.
that's the fucked up thing is that, the city of Oakland was, sent all their lawyers and people that negotiate these things, and they were ready to go. And from what's being reported is that the difference is $88 million, and that's only because the inflation due to, the pandemic and, all the inflation that's going on right now. So the A's and the city are only about $88 million apart, is what's being reported. That in a deal of this magnitude, that's like nothing.
Yeah.
That's like nothing. So, we're hoping for extra innings.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's put this thing into extra innings. If somehow you're still listening to this, watching, follow those hashtags, Fisher out, sell the team, Oakland forever. Join the conversation. If you have questions, we have answers, and it's no disrespect. We want to educate. We want you to hear our side. We want you to know what we're thinking and feeling.
That's
right. Because this shouldn't happen to any communities, whether it's baseball, football, basketball. And this won't be the last time. We're going to hear about other teams wanting to move and force their way out and put communities versus other communities. The government in cities like this should not have to choose between healthcare and education and water infrastructure and road infrastructure because of a billionaire wants things for free. He has the money. He should pay. If owning a baseball team is too rich for his blood, then he shouldn't own a team. Like, it's that simple. If it's too expensive for you to run the baseball team or whatever, you shouldn't own it. It's not rocket science. He could get out right now. John Fisher can get out right now and make 10,000% on the original purchase price.
Yeah, he paid what, 130, I think.
I think it was a little under 200, but
yeah. So
I think it was like more like 180.
Yeah, the team was valued right now at like 1.2 billion ish, something like that. I mean, and if he actually sells it, he's selling it for 1.5, at least.
At least.
And if with all the legwork basically done in Oakland and what they're doing in Las Vegas right now too, either way, either side of it, the legwork that's happening there, if he gets out now, I mean, that it's basically an open path for whoever does buy it next to like really make some money off
real
of that.
quick.
And
Vince
he still gets that.
Daniel just dropped a comment, and it's an interesting one. He says, if somehow the A's became something like the Packers of baseball, owned by the fans, baseball will never allow that, and I don't think any sports franchise will ever allow that again, because the only reason why we know as fans and reporters know about certain financial things is because of like the Packers having stock, and that's like public information. And I think there's maybe the Reds or somebody. I think there is a team in baseball that some of their financials are available because they're owned by a publicly traded group or something like that. I'll have to do more reading on that. I'll find that out for the next show. But I don't think you'll ever be able to see that unless it was somehow like a company that is publicly traded bought the A's, like if Disney bought the Angels, a long time ago and then sold them.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's something like that, I don't think baseball wants to go that direction, because then we would have open up the books. Let me see the numbers.
Yeah.
They don't want that out there, because baseball's not losing money. Like, it hasn't been.
Right.
Like, that's the thing. It's not losing money. They're going to make more money. We talked about this a couple weeks ago when there was games that may not be aired because the network is going under. It's filing bankruptcy and stuff. Bally
Sports,
Bally Sports on the East Coast. And
they're in Arizona too, and in SoCal actually too. Yeah,
baseball wants them to fold, because baseball's going to force you to buy MLB TV. You're going to have to buy a standalone package like you do with the NFL Sunday Ticket and Red Zone and all that other stuff. Is that everybody's going to have their own streaming package. NBA has it, but MLB, they don't allow you to share YouTube clips or Twitter clips. It has to come from the MLB or the team. They don't allow like fan uploads. Like, they're absolute fucking Nazis when it comes to like being a fan of baseball.
Yeah, man. Nobody hates baseball more than baseball owners, right?
Yeah, and the commissioner who
and the commissioner Rob
says
Manfred,
the dumbest shit ever, and somehow he still has
just keeps stepping on rakes, man.
Yeah,
he is a rake. Oh, burn!
I am excited for this basketball game. I think the Warriors are going to win because we're going 7. That's what the NBA wants. I think we're going to get this win tonight. I think it's going to be a lot more of the same. You're going to see a lot of fouls going the Lakers' way. And I think you'll probably see a lot more 3-pointers made by the Warriors. And, I think it's going to be a Warriors game. I'm going to say 117, 110.
Okay.
It's going to be a tight one.
Okay. No, I think it probably ends up being fairly tight as well. Like I'll call for a 5-point win. Warriors end up winning by 5. I will go 118, 113. So there we go. I think we're both kind of in the same ballpark there.
Okay. All right.
All right. We'll see who's the smartest.
We shall see. All right.
Daniel says Lakers in 7. I say I hope not, but it's been fun having you in this chat, man. This has been a good time. I'm glad you guys met up at the game and you jumped in and like just chopping it up.
A lot of good fans out there, man. A lot of good fans out there. A lot of great Dodger fans. A lot of great Padre fans. It was great. Drew, welcome late to the party.
Yeah.
GP2 in the starting lineup. I like it because they need somebody on defense to take out D'Angelo Russell and provide some help defense. So I think it's a good move. But he's also, when his opportunity comes, he's got to hit those corner threes like he was last year. He's got to hit those corner threes. He's going to get open looks. He's going to have the opportunity. He's got to make them. That's what it's going to come down to. Right. Not just him, but
right.
any Golden State Warrior hitting open looks, because they're allowing Draymond. They're going to allow Drew, your favorite player, Green. They're going to Drew was going off on what's his name? JaMychal Green. And every time Drew was criticizing JaMychal Green, he would drop a 3 or get a big rebound or do something, and then he totally stunk it up in game 3. Came back to earth. So but yeah, they're gonna have to hit the open 3, play good defense.
All right. I think that pretty much does it for us. We got a game to watch in about 20 minutes. It tips off. So you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, man. Again, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We do these recordings, live streams every Monday at 5:30. We're actually working on bringing some people on to do guest spots, talking about basketball, talking about baseball, talking about whatever it is. Like I said, this is it's a fan show. We want to interact with fans, so please interact with us. Again, you're listening to the SVT podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. Hit the bell for alerts. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at SVT Sports Pod. Slide into our DMs. We'd love to interact with you. Comment, like, subscribe. Peace out, guys.
Later.